Thank you, councillors, thank you, staff, and thank you, members of the public. Great to see so many people here. For those who haven't been to a council meeting before, this is a council briefing session. So we won't be making any decisions tonight. Tonight's an opportunity to go through the council agenda that we have for next week's OCM and elected members to ask any questions of our staff to clarify any points. And of course, next week we'll come back and vote on the executive recommendations in front of us. We do have apologies from Councillor Yip, Councillor Gassop and Councillor Steck. The rest of us are here. And I do have declarations of interest. One, a impartial interest from Councillor Quain on item 10.4.1 from the Southwest Sport Court expansion. That's impartial interest. And one declaration of interest, a financial interest on item 10.1.2 from Councillor Andrew. That is a financial interest, and Councillor Andrew will leave the room for the meeting. Are there any other declarations of interest, councillors?
I'm just going to put one for 10.1.2 for the proposed Tree Street heritage, because I do have friends that live in the area.
Sure. Impartial interest, Councillor Steele, thank you. I will just remind councillors as well, just triggered me because Councillor Steele didn't turn her microphone on. Just making sure when you do speak, that microphone is on before you start speaking. It's just picking that up for the audio. I had some feedback for the new systems, making sure that's heard. So probably making sure the mic's pointing towards you would be good as well, as I'm sure there's probably some people joining us online. All right, moving into the agenda. So we do have a deputation that will be made as well, councillors. That's from Mr. Todd Brown on the ocean pool. And once we get to that item, Todd, we'll call you up. Thank you. Advisory committees, councillors, probably putting a few of you on the spot here, as we normally like to give an update if there's anything to update on that from that committee. Obviously, a number of those reports come back through the council, but I'll quickly go through the chairs of those committees to see if there's any further updates. So the Heritage Advisory Committee, Councillor Smith, you're the chair. Any update from the Advisory Committee?
Sadly not from me, Mr Mayor. I was an apology.
Okay. Acting Chair? Councillor Kozisek?
I'm just trying to think. That was a couple of weeks ago now. We talked about the proposed Tree Street Heritage Plan and going out for public consultation. Which was we all agreed was unanimously was agreed on. Yes, that was the major item. Yes. Sure,
and that item's before us tonight. Thank you. Disability Access and Inclusion Committee, Councillor Andrew. Anything to update? Sorry, Councillor Turner. Sorry.
We just sent off our annual progress report for the Disability Service Commission, which is due 31st of July, just acknowledging or highlighting the 7 disabilities and inclusion outcomes. It's a really good report if you have the opportunity to have a look at it, to see all the stuff that the City of Bunbury is doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Audit Committee, Councillor Andrew.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Audit Committee met last week, probably the highlight of my week, as usual. You'll see an item in there with the financial audit is currently underway with More Australia. More Australia, it's their first time looking after the City of Bunbury, have brought in, I think 5 auditors came in for the review for the interim audit. They're extremely thorough in how they work and their processes, and I'm glad to report that at this stage there was nil findings.
Great, thank you. And the Policy Committee, Councillor Kozisek.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mostly this previous Policy Committee meeting was about reviewing of annual delegation, so it was a fairly simple meeting with not many changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kozisek. Thank you, councillors. Okay, onto the agenda. Item 10.1.1, these are some of these policies coming back. Any questions on 10.1.1? Thank you. 10.1.2. Impartial interest, Councillor Cleary, thank you. Any further questions? Thank you. 1013. Thank you. 1014. Councillor Quine.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you. I have some questions on 10.4, the Southwest Sports Centre expansion.
Sorry, Councillor Quine, this is 1014, not 1041. We'll get to that one in a moment. Thank you. Any questions on 1014, which is the review of the risk policy, risk management? Thank you. 1015. Thank you. 1016. Thank you. 1017. Thank you. 1031. Any questions, councillors? Thank you. 1032. Thank you. 1033. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It says the executive recommendation approves the write-off, etc. of $63,218.64. What is the main ingredient that causes that? Is there a particular area that we write off on?
Dog fines.
Fines.
Yeah, not cat people this time, Councillor Smith.
excellent.
I'll just ask if CEO wants to add anything further, but I think that makes up about half. There's the table there, Councillor Smith, but CEO?
The table's pretty self-explanatory. There are a number of legislative areas or regulatory areas where infringements have been provided or fines have been issued, and non-payment has totalled $212,000. Notwithstanding that, the city will continue to look at recovery of those fines through the Fines Enforcement Registry.
Further questions? Thank you. 1034. Councillor Andrew.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a query, in the workforce plan, the population has been quoted in there at around 34,000 using REM plan, but in a later document it's showing data taken from the census. Is there any chance to have a little bit of consistency, I guess, between our population figures in these documents, because they're both quoting off different sources?
CEO, any comment on that?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. We can look at making sure they're a consistent source. I imagine that the 2021 census data should be available to be able to be used.
Councillor Turner.
Just in relation to number of ratepayers we have, is that correct? 26,615?
CEO?
Haven't counted those last week. Mr Ransom, would you have, I'm just trying to pick up where that's referenced, but also whether that's referring to voters as distinct from rate assessments? Councillor Turner, can you just indicate what page that is on?
Page 474.
It's on the table, CEO.
Through you, Mr Mayor, can I suggest that we'll just confirm that source and the number for you?
Thank you. Further questions, councillors? Thank you. 1035, Evolve Transformation Program Update. Any questions? Thank you. 1036. Thank you. 1041, Councillor Quine.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to thank the staff and stakeholders for all the work undertaken to get to this point. Yeah, I do have some questions.
Sure.
Can I refer to the background information from the ordinary council meeting held 26th of April 2023? The item, or point 3, requests the CEO report back to council with the nominated party for the transfer of the development together with management and operation of the facility and the preference for construction management as at the 28th of June 2023 OCM. So the point 1 in the motion that's tabled, it says, note that Bunbury Basketball Association are the sole third-party stakeholder interested in building, owning and operating the proposed standalone facility at Hay Park. Is there a difference between note and endorsing that Bunbury Basketball Association be the sole interested third party to build, own and operate the multi-use stadium?
Sure. CEO, is there a difference there between noting or endorsing that preferred preference?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I think at this stage we're just using that language until further investigations are completed. So I don't think this is locking the council into a decision one way or another. But I think at this stage it's just how to move the project forward in conjunction with the requirements of the Department of Local Government, Sport and Recreation, as well as the resolutions of council to date. I'm not sure if Mr Barber, anything else to add?
Through you, Mr Mayor. No, it's probably terminology. I guess endorsing, we are essentially endorsing BBA as the third party. I guess until we get into construction though, actually nominating what every individual's role is probably the later down the track in September. But at this point in time, we're confirming that BBA is the party that we're going to be working with through to the future report in September around the details of construction and management.
Thank you. Indicated further questions, Councillor Quine?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr Mayor. What are the outstanding Department of Sport requirements that need to be reported back to council?
CEO, do you have maybe an update on where that's at?
To defer to Mr Barber, I just can't quite pick up those exact points at the moment. Mr Barber, can you see those in the report?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So at the moment we're getting some QS costings done on the revised plan that BBA have provided on the scoping, and we're basically working through the business case as was provided to council on the 26th of April. We're working through the impacts on what it means for the sports centre in terms of the suitability of BBA to own and manage a facility, and looking at loss of income for the sports centre, and also the feasibility of needing 6 courts, which also involves some consultation with our neighbouring LGs, and basically carrying out all the items that were on there from the 26th of April.
Thank you.
Another question, thank you. Will the city need to enter into an MOU with Bunbury Basketball Association?
CEO?
I don't believe so at this stage. I think there will need to be a working group, I would have thought, that would need to be brought together to progress how the project would potentially be delivered and under what timeframes.
Another question. Is the CEO able to inform council of the proposed project schedule of the plans, works and infrastructure to be undertaken to meet the state election commitment? Can an associated timeline be provided to council?
CEO?
Yeah, through Mr Mayor, not at this point in time. There's further works to be undertaken to understand the scope of the project, and then based on fine-tuning the location or the preferred location, there'll need to be consideration of the infrastructure works required to support the project site. So that will come back to council into the future, but not at this point in time.
Just before you go, Councillor Quine, because I noticed in the report there is a date around the 5th of September having a report back to council. What's envisioned at that stage in the timeline?
refer that one to Mr Barber or Mr Russell.
Through Mr Mayor, that's to go through those requirements that the Department of Sport and Recreation have outlined in their letter, which includes, which will include the schedule, costings, etc., to come back. So at that time, when it comes back to council, we'll have a better idea of what the overall cost is, what the timelines are going to be, and the process we'll be running to proceed with the project.
So 5th of September, Councillor Quain, is what is indicated there. Further question?
Yeah, I'm there. Last question, thank you. Last question. What is the, okay, we've got the proposed, so that's all coming back on the 5th of September. So does the city have a anticipated date that, or proposed date that they would like to see the build commence?
If everything went according to plan, Councillor, Mr CEO, when could we expect to see some commencement of building?
Not sure I can put a date on that at this stage, Mr Mayor. I know that our local MLA has indicated he would be very, very keen to see progress commence on construction within this current election term. That's probably what we're aiming at, but there'll be a bit of, quite a few more details to be determined prior to be able to giving that level of commitment as to when the project may start.
So I guess an add-on question to that, were we expecting there might be some clearer timelines around on that 5th of September date, the return to council, around that potential timelines?
I think there'll be some estimations of timeframes. A lot of those timeframes will be subject to where we end up with a scope of the project, where we end up with procurement, who undertakes the procurement, and who would be involved in the construction. So I think there are a few unknowns at this point in time.
Sure. Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Quain?
No, thank you very much for answering those. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Steele, waiting patiently.
No, thank you. Only just come up. Can Mr Russell explain, he said he was going to do consultation with the other LGAs. I didn't what for, and please, because obviously they don't want us to get bigger than them because they don't want us to get the slammers back. So I'm just a bit concerned about that.
I think one of the requirements that the department put out was we had to do that consultation, but I might just ask if the CEO can elaborate any further.
Through Ms Mayor, yeah, it's a requirement of the department, so it's just a discussion on what their future build intentions are, what the total capacity of courts in the southwest is. Yeah, it's just to meet their requirement.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It was just really follow up. When we know the scope of the project, we'll know that in September?
That's when it's scheduled to come back to council,
Yeah,
Councillor Smith, yep.
Yeah.
And hopefully that information.
That's what you're calling the scope?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Thank you. Um, 10.5.1, the Parks and Playgrounds Action Plan. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Turner?
Just in regards to public consultation, I know this went out for public consultation originally, but will it go, with the loss of a few parks, how will that affect, will that go back out to any more public consultation or not? Because it's one thing to set different standards for different parks, but if you're actually going to pull a couple out, that might impact differently on the community.
CEO?
Defer to Mr Harris, please, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, through Mr Mayor. This document wasn't slated to go back out for public consultation, but obviously as we do either replace playgrounds or talk about the moving of playgrounds, there'll be public consultation undertaken around each of those individually prior to any of those decisions being made. So I suppose looking at it, trying to do it as those come up. Those playgrounds aren't going to be removed until it's the end of the life of the playground equipment. So it's not something that's slated to happen up front. It's something that will happen over a period of time, but the consultation will be done around that as we progress each one of those further.
So if I can just confirm, Mr Harris, that there's no parks being removed, it's just the playground equipment at the end of its useful life.
Sorry, yes, that's correct. Just
Councillor Councillor Steele?
With the parks that are, are going to eventually be with the playground equipment gone, is there a list that's actually accessible? Because until, let's face it, most people will not read this report until they get a letter on their doorstep saying your park's playground equipment is not going to be getting replaced. Is there a separate place that these people are going to know now that that's eventually going to happen?
CEO?
Sure if Mr Harris might be able to address it. I'm just looking at the document now to see if there's actually any of that detail in the document. You able to answer at this stage, Ms Harris, or we can take it on notice?
I'll probably take it on notice. Again, the intent is that a lot of the time when we're removing one playground, there's another playground going in. So the conversation can't just be about the removal of the playground equipment. It's also about what's going in, and quite often the level of what's going in is higher than what's being removed. So the conversation needs to involve both elements of it. So I suppose you can't just look at the removal independent of looking at what else is going in. And which is why we looked at it as doing that consultation around. So the new one may go in and the old one may still be there for a period of time until the playground equipment fails. So I suppose it's having that conversation together with both elements that we're looking at.
Further questions? Thank you. 10.5.2. Mr Brown.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Mayor, councillors, CEO and staff. I've been watching you all on TV, so and I see how this thing works. Thanks very much. Look, in August 2021, I gave one of my last speeches as a councillor when we endorsed the resolution to move this project to the next stage. We passed that on that night, and here we are today. The goal was a fully accessible, sustainable saltwater pool that is free to the public and an icon for the world, embracing multiple technologies and innovations to bring together the community in a safe and welcoming environment and re-engage our society with a secure ocean experience for all ages and abilities. And after nearly 2 years of studies, it has come to moving this project forward to public consultation. When the plans were released last week, I was amazed at the beauty and simplicity of the refined pool design, and it's an outstanding achievement by a team of architects who specialise in Australian ocean pools. And thanks to all of your councillor input during the workshops and briefings, you have delivered on that goal. Over the weekend, I had my first look at the reports, and I was surprised by the business case that it did not mention consultation with the Cricket Club or the Runners Club. The Cricket and Runners Club have for many years have had plans to merge and create one new club rooms at the recreation ground. In the ocean pool, costs are $2 million for a community meeting room and cafe kiosk that could easily be incorporated into the multi-user facility and allow the Cricket and Runners Club some cost recovery by leasing and utilising those amenities from within their building. From my point of view, it does not make sense to have standalone facilities scattered throughout the area. I was also surprised by the business case, not taking into account the significant private community and business investment that could be obtained for this project. The business case says that there is then the opportunity to target smaller amounts of funding from not-for-profits and industry partners whose contributions would likely be utilised for furniture procurement, final fit-out works and public art installations. It does not say anything about private-public partnerships. I think this was an opportunity that the authors have missed, and there is a significant capacity in local private investment that could be funnelled into this community asset, taking away reliance on local government investment, therefore reducing the costs to the City of Bunbury. There are many successful local, national and international businesses, individuals and companies that have privately expressed interest in participating in this project, and I believe that the business case assumption does not reflect the magnitude of that investment. In the business case, the operating costs have been said to be a minimum of $611,000 per annum, but the business case says that the ocean cost, as informed by MP Rogers, is $285,000. I'm not sure which is right, but we'll look at that further. Also, the operating period of the pool is over a 20-year period, when most of the ocean pools in Australia were built over 100 years ago. In fact, the last ocean pool that was built in Australia was over 60 years ago. So I'm not sure where we get the 20-year period from. That can significantly alter the operating cost. If I can ask these questions after 3 days of reading a 1,000-page report, I'm sure that other much smarter members of the wider community will add much more valuable input during the public consultation process. This project needs to go to public consultation so that more critical eyes can look over the project, its costs and practicalities, as well as its flaws and impracticalities. We may or may not be experts, but we do know Bunbury. So why are ocean pools so special? Firstly, they are used and accessible to the whole community, young and old. They provide a safe and accessible option for swimming, especially for those who may not be confident or comfortable in the open sea. Older and less mobile members of our community can be knocked off their feet by a small wave, diminishing confidence in their experience with the sea. They protect us from rips, currents, waves, sharks, and other hazards that may be present in the ocean. Secondly, they offer a unique swimming experience that is different from conventional pools or beaches. They allow us to enjoy the benefits of salt water, which is more buoyant and has healing properties for some skin conditions. Our ocean pool will use minimal chemicals for cleaning, which makes them more natural and environmentally friendly. Unlike a pool, river or lake, the ocean has high amounts of minerals, and mineral-rich water can help treat autoimmune skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema, and even simple cuts and abrasions. Thirdly, ocean pools enhance our physical and mental health. Swimming is a great form of exercise that can improve our cardiovascular fitness, muscle strength, flexibility and balance. Swimming in cold water can also boost our immune system, reduce inflammation and release hormones that make us feel good. Researchers from Cambridge University discovered in 2020 that cold water swimming may protect the brain from degenerative diseases like dementia, and frequent exposure to cold water can improve your long-term immunity. Ocean pools can benefit our community in many ways. Not only do they improve our health and well-being, they also contribute to our economy and tourism. According to work of the Water Research Laboratory at the University of New South Wales, using the work from the beach economist Dr. David Anning and the Royal Life Saving Society in 2017 economic modelling of aquatic facilities, the university developed similar estimates for the economic and social, including health benefits, per ocean pool visit. The Royal Life Saving Society values showed that there was an economic benefit to the community of $13.83 per pool visit and a health economic benefit of $26.39. Therefore, a total benefit for each pool visit at $40.22. The study assessed the ocean pools to have the equivalent socio-economic health benefit of $40 per person per visit per annum. Therefore, a typical average pool use of 150,000 visits per year, such as Freshwater or Queenscliff in New South Wales, provides an economic and health benefit to the community of $6 million a year, while a high-use pool such as Dee Why in Sydney, with 260,000 visits per year, provides benefit of over $10 million per year. That is, a typical ocean pool would have paid itself off in 2 years. On the tourism side in Port Macquarie, a feasibility study for the ocean pool at Oxley Beach estimated that the pool would attract an additional 36,000 visitors per year and generate $4.5 million in annual tourism expenditure. Ocean pools can also increase the value and attractiveness of our coastal areas. It would be fantastic to see our vacant lots in Ocean Drive activated. This has the ability to transform and present a windfall for the community. Ocean pools are not just swimming facilities. They are also cultural and social spaces where people of all ages and backgrounds can meet, relax and have fun. They are also places where we can connect with nature and appreciate the stunning views of the coastline. In Australia, where they are located, ocean pools are a much-loved community asset that bring people together where we can share the inspiration and beauty of the stunning place in which we live. It is truly a way for our community to reconnect with the sea. Now it should be over to the public to have their say. Hopefully you will allow this to happen by supporting the executive recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, and thank you for your work so far. I think it's probably pretty evident to say that a lot of this reason this report is here before us is because of some of your work in previous years. Questions? Councillor Kozisek, I think, was first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 4 questions, if I may. Historically, ocean pools on the East Coast were built as early as 1890 and are still operational. I'm just wondering why we have based our maintenance cost or replacement model on a 20-year period, if that could be answered at some point, possibly on notice.
Yep, I'll see if we can get it. We'll go by one, Councillor Kozisek. We'll see if we can get an answer for that now. CEO?
Mr Harris, can you address that, please? You'll probably have to address most of these.
Again, through you, Mr Mayor, the 20-year lifespan has been used because generally, even those ones that have been in for 100 years, there's a significant renewal process that happens roughly every 20 years on those pools. So it's not about rebuilding the pool, but there's at a 20-year interval, there's significant amount of maintenance that needs to be done on the pool. So that 20-year period doesn't mean it's only got a 20-year lifespan, but at that particular point in time, you will need to have some money set aside to undertake maintenance work, such as if you've got cracks or other things in the concrete, because it's in a significantly rough environment being right on the ocean front. So that 20-year interval is purely around the need to undertake some significant renewal on the pool at a 20-year period.
Thank you. Second question, if I may. Will the Cricket Club and the Runners Club be consulted at this stage due to the close proximity to the pool precinct?
CEO? Trying to use this thing. How do I turn everybody off?
Try that one. Through you, Mr Mayor, yeah, they've been identified as stakeholders for this next body of work around consultation.
Couple more. How will the community consultation proceed? Are we looking at advertising in the paper, Facebook? Are we having several meetings? What sort of format are we looking at?
CEO, you might be able to get this one.
I'll have a guess. Yeah. I think it'll be a normal community consultation process. We'll look at whether we need to do any in-person consultation as well as reaching out to key stakeholders and general community consultation and engagement.
Thank you. And the last one is, will we have a time frame? I'm referring to point 4, that the CEO will report back to council on his findings regarding funding, etc. Will be an end date to that.
CEO?
Through you, Mr Mayor, as the council considers and deliberates on the corporate business plan and long-term financial plan, I think that will lead us to a position where the city will have its sufficient funds to allocate to the project, notwithstanding that we would reach out through election cycles and also other government agencies seeking funding opportunities for such a facility.
Thank you.
I think Councillor Turner was on my thing as next, Councillor Turner, and then Councillor Giles.
Thank you. Can we just get some clarification over the discrepancy in costs that Mr Brown was stating, please?
Got an answer for that now? Yep. CEO.
Yeah, again, through you, Mr Mayor, the two costs that we've quoted, 385 is actually the yearly operational costs. So to maintain the pool and look after the pool on an annual basis, 385. The 611 figure includes that renewal amount that you need to put away for the 20-year interval. So 385 to maintain it, so clean it, look after it over the year. The 611 is the average of what's required, including the operational and the renewal costs over the 20-year period of the pool.
Councillor Giles.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you, Todd, for that. It was great. I was here when you first mooted it, and it's good to see it at this stage. Can I just ask, what is the cost to the ratepayers for the next stage that we're voting on tonight? What resources and what cost will it take to get to that next stage?
Sure. Yep. Through the CEO.
Through Mr Mayor, we're carrying over about 23,000, I think it is, from this year, and we've got about 40,000 identified in next year's budget. I suppose it was dependent on council making a decision next week in regards to where we go. At this stage, it's probably those funds are available, and there's considerable more work to be done around discussions with state government departments, Department of Health, Department of Environment, etc. So it'll be looking at putting a project team together and start some of those conversations, funding identification, etc. So it's probably more time at this stage than it is dollars to look at how we progress and what funding opportunities are out there on a private, state and federal level for us to consider our next steps.
That's a question. Councillor McCleary. You can turn it on now, yes.
Yep, thank you. With our executive recommendation, with the proposed WA new law, which may be the new Indigenous heritage laws, I can't see where that sort of relates in. Would it be appropriate for us to include that now? So, I mean, we've only got it here, where are we? Indigo to heritage and traditional storylines. I was just wondering if we would put it into our recommendation.
Sure. CEO, do you have a comment on that?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So 3A, I think, is intended to cover any further Aboriginal engagement, including making sure that the city is in compliance with the Aboriginal Cultural and Heritage Act. At this stage, there's been a good relationship with the traditional owners, but we do need to do some more work there. I'm not sure that the recommendation requires any further definition other than the body of work that we're suggesting needs to be done.
Through the Mayor,
Sure.
I just think it's a bit vague, and it's only just saying traditional storylines, heritage. But I will leave that for a debate next
Leave
year.
that for next week, and whether or not the CEO has any further thoughts on that during the week. I think Councillor McCleary. Further questions on this one? All good. Thank you. That does bring us to a close. So thank you for those who have attended. I'm assuming most of you were there for that item. So if you have any further questions, we can have a conversation afterwards, or you can speak to any of our elected members. I just also realised I didn't ask Councillor Andrew to leave the room for your financial item, but we'll make a note of it. So it was a bit too quick. But I'll declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.